As the calendar turned to January 2026, one name continued to echo across continents, languages, and digital platforms: Jungkook. There was no surprise album drop, no sudden music video release, no official solo announcement. Yet within days of the new year, Jungkook's name once again surfaced across global trending lists, not driven by promotions, but by people. Fans. Across Asia, Europe, the Americas, and the Middle East, fan-led support projects dedicated to Jungkook began appearing almost simultaneously. Digital billboards lit up city centers, social media timelines filled with coordinated messages, streaming events and charity campaigns launched quietly but spread rapidly. This was not a reaction to a single event. It was a statement. At the very beginning of 2026, Jungkook's global fandom chose to make one thing clear: his presence in the music world remains deeply felt, even in moments of silence. Unlike traditional fan projects tied to birthdays or comebacks, the January 2026 initiatives followed a different philosophy. Organizers emphasized continuity rather than celebration. The projects were framed not as hype-building efforts, but as expressions of long-term commitment. Many fan groups publicly stated that their goal was to welcome the new year by reaffirming support for Jungkook, regardless of release schedules or promotional cycles. In several cities, LED screens displayed simple messages: gratitude, encouragement, and reminders of Jungkook's journey. Online, fans coordinated hashtags focused on reflection rather than anticipation, highlighting how Jungkook's music accompanied them through previous years. This shift in tone revealed something important. Jungkook's relationship with his audience has matured beyond transactional fandom. What made the January 2026 projects particularly striking was their geographical spread. In South Korea, fans organized subway ads and digital displays near major transit hubs. In Japan and Southeast Asia, fan communities focused on large-scale streaming events designed to introduce Jungkook's music to new listeners. In Europe and North America, billboards and online campaigns dominated urban spaces and digital feeds. Meanwhile, fans in Latin America and the Middle East launched charity initiatives, donating to local causes under Jungkook's name. These projects emphasized kindness, impact, and social responsibility, values fans associate with Jungkook's public image. Despite differences in format, language, and culture, the projects shared a unified message: Jungkook's influence transcends borders. As physical projects appeared around the world, the digital response grew even faster. Hashtags related to Jungkook and New Year support trended across multiple platforms. Fan-made videos reflecting on his career milestones circulated widely. Old performances resurfaced, drawing new audiences who had not previously engaged with BTS or K-pop. What stood out was the organic nature of the engagement. There was no centralized directive, no official amplification. The momentum came from shared emotion rather than structured promotion. Industry analysts observing the trend noted that such sustained fan-driven visibility is rare, especially in the absence of active releases. It reinforced the perception of Jungkook not merely as a pop star, but as a cultural constant. To understand why these projects resonate so strongly, one must look beyond numbers and metrics. Jungkook's career has unfolded publicly from a young age. Fans witnessed his growth not only as an artist, but as a person navigating pressure, expectation, and transformation. His music often reflects vulnerability and perseverance, qualities that resonate deeply across demographics. For many fans, supporting Jungkook at the start of 2026 felt less like fandom and more like acknowledgement. An acknowledgement of years of music that soundtrack their lives, an acknowledgement of resilience, an acknowledgement of mutual growth. In this sense, the January 2026 projects were not about elevating Jungkook, they were about standing with him. For many fans, January is not just the beginning of a calendar year, it is a moment of reset. Across online forums and social platforms, fans explained why they deliberately chose January to organize support projects for Jungkook. The timing symbolized gratitude rather than anticipation. It was about entering a new year while acknowledging the artist who had accompanied them through the previous ones. Fans describe Jungkook's music as a source of comfort during transitions, graduations, relocations, personal losses, and moments of uncertainty. These testimonies formed the emotional backbone of the projects, turning abstract admiration into collective memory. The message was consistent. This support was not conditional. It was enduring. As the fan projects gained traction, media outlets began to take notice. Articles and short news segments highlighted the unusual scale of the January initiatives, noting that Jungkook had not released new solo material during this period. The absence of official promotion made the organic visibility even more striking. Journalists framed the phenomenon as evidence of sustained cultural relevance. Rather than fading between releases, Jungkook remained present through the actions of his audience. This type of coverage reinforced a key narrative. Jungkook's influence does not rely solely on activity, it is maintained through connection. Music industry analysts observing the January 2026 fan movement offered measured but notable insights. Some pointed out that fan-driven campaigns of this scale often emerge only around major releases or anniversaries. Others emphasized that Jungkook's case challenges traditional promotional models, demonstrating how artist-fan relationships can generate momentum independently. The consensus among observers was clear. Jungkook occupies a rare position where visibility is sustained through loyalty rather than output. This distinction places him among a small group of global artists whose cultural presence extends beyond release cycles. Another defining feature of the January projects was their tone. There was no demand, no pressure, no calls for immediate activity. Instead, the language centered on rest, growth, and patience. Fans openly expressed support for Jungkook's personal pace and future choices, emphasizing trust rather than expectation. This shift reflects a broader evolution within fandom culture, one that values artist well-being alongside artistic output. Jungkook's public image, shaped by humility and consistency, has played a significant role in fostering this environment. As support projects circulated online, Jungkook's past works experienced renewed attention. Older performances, interviews, and solo tracks resurfaced, reaching audiences unfamiliar with his journey. Streaming numbers reflected steady engagement rather than sudden spikes, suggesting sustained interest rather than fleeting trends. This rediscovery cycle demonstrated how fan-driven initiatives can extend an artist's digital legacy. Without altering the past, fans reframed it, introducing Jungkook's work to a new generation of listeners entering 2026. While the January projects focused on Jungkook individually, they did not exist in isolation from BTS. Many fan messages explicitly acknowledged Jungkook's role within the group, framing the support as complementary rather than separate. This balance reflects how fans perceive his identity, not as detached from BTS, but as enriched by individual growth. In this way, the projects subtly reinforced BTS's collective strength. Jungkook's sustained relevance elevated the group's overall narrative, even during periods of limited activity. Historically, quiet periods can be risky for artists. Visibility fades, audiences move on, and momentum slows. Yet Jungkook's January 2026 support wave illustrates a different model. Silence became space. Space became reflection. Reflection became action. Rather than diminishing presence, the quiet amplified appreciation. Fans used the absence of new material as an opportunity to revisit what already existed and to articulate why it mattered. Several January projects emphasized Jungkook's influence beyond music. Charity drives, community initiatives, and volunteer campaigns were launched in his name. These actions reframed fandom as social participation, aligning admiration with tangible impact. Such initiatives broadened the definition of support, suggesting that Jungkook's influence extends into values and behavior, not just consumption. Longevity in the music industry is not defined solely by output. It is defined by relevance. The January 2026 fan movement suggests that Jungkook's relevance is anchored in trust, authenticity, and emotional resonance. These qualities cannot be manufactured quickly, nor can they be replaced easily. As trends shift and new artists emerge, Jungkook's position appears stable, supported by a foundation built over years. As January 2026 progresses, the message from fans remains clear. There is no urgency, no countdown, no pressure, only presence. Jungkook begins the year not at the center of promotion, but at the center of appreciation. And in an industry often defined by constant movement, that stillness speaks volumes.